10 traits that I say are traits that are transforming society. I like to refer to the human brain as the 80-20 brain. 80% of it is fixed, it's hardwired, it's that deep part of your brain that is activated when you are placed under great stress. The other part, the other 20% is that outermost convoluted, folded part of our brain called the cortex, or the neocortex. And that 20% can be conditioned to adapt to many different situations, circumstances, and customs. So you think, I'm born into a family. It's got, certain house rules and so on. I live in a neighborhood and we all kind of grow up together and do things that we understand are the right things to do. We live in a community, a society, a country, and we adapt to those different situations and customs and so forth. That's that neuroplastic brain. That's what gives us our individuation. But when you put someone under stress, what rises to the surface are the 10 traits. Well, we say the 10 traits, what is hardwired. And so I've written many books and blogs, articles about the 10 great traits of men, and also those great traits found in the female brain. And before we do a deep dive into the traits, for example, with the men, is that deep love of tools and technology. It's their skills at cybernetic goal setting and the ability to focus on a single goal with no distractions. Steve Smith, he's a lawyer, and he's great at that. By contrast, the female brain has evolved to have a deep love of the environment, social, empathetic, and diplomatic skills. And so we'll share more about that as we proceed. But when I spoke up at LEEDS yesterday at the business school, and since Molly's here, since she missed that, and she's an MBA student there at CU, I said, everybody in the class, and they shook their heads yes, I said, you're all familiar with Adam Smith's invisible hand at work in the marketplace. But I'm going to talk, in today's talk, about Mother Nature's invisible hand. Mother Nature's invisible hand in the workplace. And the reason why is, and the way I'm going to frame it and tell you why, is I'm going to frame it as 3 big thoughts, 3 big ideas that I think will be new to you. We created a new field of science and a new model of leadership based on the female brain, and that science included neurobiology, split brain research, evolutionary psychology, and both cultural and physical anthropology. And we drew upon 10 traits found in the male brain, and then their complementary opposite found in the female brain. So there's no right or wrong. It's not that men are better than women. It's not that women are better than men. We are complementary, synergistic, and opposite. The big functional split, if you actually think of 2 subcultures, men going off to hunt, women staying close to the hearth and the fire with the children. Men, for 99.9% of our human history, we lived outdoors. The sky was our roof and the earth was our floor, and conditions were harsh. So when it rained, what happened? We got wet. When it snowed, we were cold, and survival, because of that cold and rain and even heat, was always on our mind. And there was never enough food. One could say the mantra of the day was food, food, food. So men, in this great functional split, by Mother Nature's invisible hand, men went off on the hunt. They depended upon their strong bones, dense muscles, strength and endurance to give them that advantage they needed to make a kill. Because of this, if we just focus on men for a minute, because of this, their language, emotions, and perceptions are based on the hunt. They had to kill. They had to actually, they didn't have a drone, they didn't have a gun, they didn't have a bow and arrow. They had a rock, a stone, a stick, or their bare hands. They had to go find the beast. There's a team, and they had to jump on it. In fact, Joel will remind me that when they found and looked at the bones through anthropology, they found that those hunters from these days often had as many broken bones as a modern day rodeo rider. They had to kill, and so their language, emotions, and perceptions were based on that. And they had to basically speak in code, be quiet. They had a leader, an alpha male, and people followed behind, like the point of the spear, and behind. By contrast, the hearth, the fire, the circle. By contrast, women, as soon as they reached the age of puberty, they were either pregnant, nursing, and had children at their feet. Because on average, we only lived 25 years, so they didn't really have time to wait, to go through school and education, which didn't exist in the Stone Age. They had, as soon as they could get pregnant, they were pregnant. They were nursing and had children at their feet. And it was a job of women in this division, in this functional split, to ensure the survival of the children, to gather nuts and seeds and firewood, and to know which trees bore edible fruit and when it would ripen. So because of this, women, by contrast, complementary, opposite, equal, women became a repository of critical, life-affirming knowledge. And as I said, they were also the economic equal because their job was equally important. The Stone Age. When we talk about this time, this great functional split, the purpose of human interaction, men and women coming together, was for survival itself. It was for human reproduction. Men had the task of bringing home the food. Women had the task of ensuring the survival. And within the context of living on average only 25 years. Today, it's a completely different context. It's not about reproducing. In fact, we've done a very good job at reproducing, right? Today, it's really about creating this dynamic synergy, and this is where the talking about 10 traits that are transforming the workplace comes into play, because it really is about taking an evolutionary approach to the workplace and to society and saying, there's a missing link here. What's the missing link? 10 traits found in the female brain that have been missing. Thank you all for being here today. Great audience. Thank you.